and welcome to Separated by Water, episode 4. My name is Colin Campbell. I'm a Spurs season ticket holder. I live in Drumahoe, Northern Ireland.
Hi, I'm Paul Galt. I'm speaking to you from West Cork today. I apologise for the lateness, a few technical issues, but we're here with you now for Separated by Water.
Hi, just a reminder, this podcast is for everyone. It's all inclusive, but it does have a particular interest probably to people who live in Ireland, north or south, and support teams in England. And no matter how often or how little you see them, we will hear from you through time. This week is slightly different. I know it's International Week, but because of some of the feedback we'd received, we thought we would hold one anyway with a slight tint on how the two Irish teams and players had done. Paul, you got a wee bit of feedback from people, some verbal stuff.
Yep, very, very positive feedback from several people who said they were enjoying the podcast, looking forward to the next one, and asked if we were having one in the International Week. We said we would. A couple of people said, why do I keep on looking all over the place? But I'm actually the one that's putting the banners across the front as we're talking and such like. So I don't have the luxury of just staring at the screen and talking. So that's the explanation. But thank you for all the positive comments. Please keep them coming and take part. Even if you leave comments after we're live today, we'll be live every day. But even if you're not putting the comments in while we're live, put your comments in. We'll pick them up later on and we'll come back to you on them.
Yeah, please do. And just let me say, the technical issues were not all down to me, as they more often than not could be. However, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, sometimes looking at, that's an interesting shirt today, Paul, I can tell you.
That's not the first new away shirt.
For when?
This year.
Oh, right, okay. They're expecting electrical storms or blackouts or anything, is it?
Yeah, well, it's better than the usual plain white for Spurs.
Well, the lily white shirt. Often said there are 3 things in life that should never be tampered with. One is the Coco Chanel jacket with the round neck. Another one is the Porsche 911 Carrera. And the third one is the Tottenham Hotspur football shirt. They're perfect, just as they are. Okay, speaking of perfection, believe me, International Week just passed and ongoing. And we wanted to look and see if there were any emerging issues coming from that. And we'll have a wee bit of Emerald Eye also. From my point of view, probably not a lot to say from the Irish, from the Ireland-England game. I think probably it went according to script. Probably irritating that the 2 guys who had played for Ireland scored. One celebrated, one chose not to. I don't know what it's going to tell us about the future. I do think tonight, things will start to emerge tonight at home to Greece. I think Ireland need the manager and the team and the fans would really want a result tonight. If they get a result tonight, I think Saturday will be regarded as gone, a bye ball. From Northern Ireland's point of view, I suppose it was. I don't know. Is it disappointing? Is it not? It's hard to say. I think the expectations hopefully are lower and therefore realistic. Any win's a good one, even over Luxembourg. The atmosphere was good, which is a good thing. I think probably, given Bulgaria's demise over the last 20 or 30 years, that result may be a little bit disappointing. But I'll come back to that in a wee bit more detail in Emerald Eye. Anything for you, Paul? Any Forest players representing you?
Morgan Gibbs-White made his debut on the 76th minute. I was hoping he'd come on about the 60th. He done nothing wrong. Very positive start for his international career. Well, in senior level, he's already had a successful level. It's under 17s and under 21s, where the under 17s won the World Cup with Steve Cooper, who brought him to Forest. 2 outstanding players for me that stood out from the rest was Cleven Kelleher, number 2 keeper for Liverpool. I thought he had an astounding game. I thought he was absolutely just I thought it could have been a slaughtering session for Ireland if he hadn't performed the way he did. I think 2-0 was a very respectable score, considering England are fourth in the world and Ireland are way below that. So I think it was a respectable score. The second one was Ogbene, the Ipswich Town winger. He was man of the match, RTE man of the match, given they weren't going to give it to an English player. But he's a handful. I think he's a great player, an absolutely astounding player. And if he stays at Ipswich, well done for them for signing him and keeping him there. But I feel he's going to go on to bigger and better things, and an exciting prospect for Ireland and for Ipswich.
It's very good. Well, Ipswich, interestingly, we think they'll go down, but maybe he will prove us wrong. From the North's point of view, I really won't single out players per se. I think that it's all coming together. I think that Michael O'Neill, and I'll go back to him there, probably be happy enough with what he's seen. I think at the minute it's performances as much as results. And he's trying to get a group of young players together again. The reservoir is very, very small, very dry in terms of players coming through. I think he's done well. And I think, there's a lot of goodwill there. And happy enough. I think the progress is there. We talked about Evans last week. He is a loss. There's no doubt about that. But hopefully enough players will come through to satisfy the realistic expectations of the fans.
I heard an interesting debate in the radio the other day. And this isn't an England-Ireland debate. It's a debate about any person. Like we're talking about the two guys, Rice and
Grealish.
Grealish, who originally played for Ireland and then went to England.
Yeah.
And it was an interesting discussion. They were saying, and they were putting the point forward, should it be that once a player plays at a senior level, which only one of them did, a senior level for one country, can they move to another country and play for them? Should they be able to? I think it's a bit like supporting a team, and because it's not going well for you, you jump ship and go to another team. I just don't think it's right. I don't think. I think you should make up your mind. It was like they were getting the best of both worlds with these two individuals that they signed for Ireland, waiting to see whether they were going to get to, or they played for Ireland, I should say, waiting to see if they were going to get a call up to the England team. When they got the call up to the England team, pushed Ireland behind them. And it's not just about Ireland. I'm not sure it would happen many other places because of the Irish grandmother rule that you can play for Ireland under that law, or rule. But I just think it's food for thought. It was an interesting debate in the radio, and it got a mixed comment from everybody.
Yeah, you probably see more and more of it across the board now as countries have spread out. European countries who have gone to other parts of the world. It calls into question for me two things really. One is my irritation at the break in the Premier League season so early. I found that irritating. I do love the competitions. I love the finals of the Euros and the World Cup, but I hate really what it takes to get us there. But I can't think of a solution, perhaps, really at the minute. And the other one is the whole value of international teams. Now I know they're followed in England, both Irelands and all. And they have massive followings. I totally appreciate that. But years ago, say in the 50s, 60s, and I can remember, I went actually to some internationals in the late 60s. If Portugal came over, it was all Portuguese players who played in the Portuguese league, whom you would never see otherwise, unless their clubs were playing in Europe. And there was something very exciting about that. And other countries as well. I remember Turkey came in 1968, 69, Cyprus, others, Russia or USSR as was. And you would not have seen those players in any other way because they stayed in their own leagues, played for their own teams, etc., etc. You get my point. Nowadays, players are spread throughout the world, and you may find that, for example, Spurs players are flying half the way across the world to play in friendlies for Argentina or Uruguay or whatever it might be, come back exhausted with knocks. And that's, it makes you wonder what is the purpose of internationals anymore? That would be my question. If people can give me a good answer, I'd love to hear it.
No, well, for that, the international break for that competition, which I don't think it's that great a competition, to be honest, to be breaking up 3 weeks into your league. And for a personal point of view, Forest were getting a wee bit of momentum going. They hadn't lost a game. Now they've got a break, and now they're down. You know what happens when they come back? They'll be tired. Chris Wood is over in America. He'll be coming back with jet lag. So,
Yeah.
All these different things. So, I personally could do without it so early in the league. And I take your point. Whenever the World Cup and the Euros come about, it's great to watch the competitions. But the sacrifice we make in losing out in the Premiership games, it's like a death in the family almost so early into the league. You know. Just to say, with 14 people watching us at the minute, it was up to 17. Maybe some technical issues, but 14 people watching us. Join in, guys. Send us in your comments. And I'm actually going to do a puzzler today, Colin, if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
A wee question. So, guys, I'm not going to give the answer out until the end, but there's the question. 3 teams in the Premiership have bird nicknames. 3 teams in the Premiership have bird nicknames. Who are they?
Right. I will not look up. Please, anyone, don't look up.
No, don't Google it.
Don't look up anything.
Let's use their grey matter. I'm the worst in the world for getting stuck in. But send it into your comments if you know.
Of 2 of them at the minute.
Well, what do you call the ones of the Canaries? Who were the Canaries? The yellow and...
they're gone. Norwich City. Norwich City, yeah.
So, Norwich. I'm using them as an example. So with 3 teams that take on... I could have got 2 in a blink, and I'm not sure I would have got the third. So I'll leave that running for you. And send in your answers, guys. Okay, send them in one at a time or all together. Fire them in the comment. Okay, Colin, what's next, bud? What's next?
All right. We talked about Emerald Eye, a feature we try to do, which features on players from the island of Ireland, how they're doing normally in the Premiership, but this time with the international break. And actually, my focus, I thought I'd have a look at the 2 managers, Michael O'Neill and Heimir Hallgrímsson.
Yeah,
I am not Icelandic, so that's my best effort. Just a brief look at each.
Yeah, I was rehearsing it earlier. Hallgrímsson, I think it is.
Well, I'll call him the Irish manager or the big Icelander. With a couple of themes maybe coming out from it. There's a guy recently appointed. July, I think, was the official announcement, not that long ago. People might have gone, who? He had managed Iceland and he had managed Jamaica. And the FAI search criteria were interesting to me anyway. They were looking for somebody with international experience. So Iceland and Jamaica national teams constitute that in their own way. For someone who had raised the rankings of those teams, and he had done that as well. I think he'd got Iceland to 18th when they left, from mid-40s, wherever they were, really around 2016 under Lars Lagerbäck, with whom he served. They really raised their profile, and it hasn't maintained itself. With Jamaica, he got them from 84th to 63rd, which, when you think of the number of countries who play football, that's pretty good, So that's not too bad. But then the key word, I think, for me is expectations. On both sides of the border, we tend to live off history, for better or for worse. My grandfather, until his Dandy, talked about the 1958 team on Northern Ireland team under Danny Blanchflower. Then had 82, 86, and more recently 2016 under O'Neill. Ireland have had, the Euros 88, the World Cups, and they were there 2016 too, and quite a lot. I think the expectations in the Republic are higher. I think of a bigger catchment pool and have had more world-class players, top quality players, even in recent years. And that 88 and 90 team, particularly the 90 team, was incredible when you look back under Big Jack. I don't think the Northern teams were ever quite that strong, but they're always committed. So what's my point?
The dog agrees with you there.
Right, that's... did you hear her? I don't know. She sees herself in her reflection in the window of the door and then thinks she's bark chasing somebody. Or else maybe she just thinks I'm talking, you know what. I think expectations is a key word these days. For O'Neill, he's come back. His period with Stoke probably would go down as possibly a failure, if you like. Stoke under Pulis were Premiership, residents. They tried to change their style. They changed their style and changed everything else, including their status. He was yet of a relatively long list of managers who just couldn't shake them out of that stupor they're in. He came back with a lot of goodwill, and I think it's still there. I think the expectations are realistic. He's talking about a pool of players, young players, and given time, he will get them into decent shape. And it was interesting to me, apart from the fact that I'm going to kill my dog soon, but it was interesting to me that he wanted to classify the Bulgaria match as a defeat and not a setback. Now, is that playing with words? Can be, but maybe not. What he's trying to say is, yeah, we lost that match, but the plan's still in place. We're still moving in the right direction, and he will be very keen that people buy into that, and I do. For Hallgrimsson, I think tonight is a big game. He does need a win. Greece are no dozers. They're not the team they were 20 odd years ago. They'll give them a match. But I think a victory tonight would get the ball rolling, and Saturday's defeat would be seen as what it was. One of those things against a very strong team. When you bury the animosity and look at it objectively, England are a very, very strong team.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
We did okay. So that was me for Emerald Eye. Paul, anything from you?
Yes, I was approached the other day by a friend and somebody who listens to us and enjoys it. And he said, you can't, he took point of us discussing the link with Northern Ireland and Man United. And he said, like he was, I looked up 274 appearances, 67 goals, youngest goal scorer at the age of 17 years and 7 days. I'm sure, I think that Rooney maybe has turned that one over, but I'm not sure. He was a massive player. And he said, would you do me a favor and play the goal of 1985, I think it was, against Everton in the FA Cup. So I'm going to try sharing my screen here, and we'll play it for him, and just to see if we can show you the goal very briefly, and then we'll come back to it.
It's gone past Bracewell.
To the right-hand side here.
Onside.
I remember it. Yeah, Everton were going for treble that year.
I can tell you where I watched this, man. What a goal.
A goal! Right side!
In fairness now, what a goal. He was something else. Anyway, I thought it was worth mentioning that is the link. That is the link. And that brings me on to, Colin, a conversation about the FA Cup. Has the FA Cup lost? Is the interest in the FA Cup diminished? And if it has, our exposure to so much European football? Is it because we're watching so much TV, football on TV? Why it doesn't seem to be the same interest? The FA Cup used to be a massive thing leading up to it, weeks beforehand, and I don't know. It just seems to be that they're not even putting out the full teams for them now. Even the League Cup, they just put out Mickey Mouse teams to try and just scrape through. Do you think the FA Cups will still get the same interest?
I love the FA Cup. Tottenham were seen as a cup team, an FA Cup team in their heyday, and it was wonderful. It still is to me. I take your point. I think there are a few things. One is TV. The TV accessibility many years ago was very limited. So FA Cup games and the FA Cup final, and FA Cup final day was the big, it was almost like a public holiday. And if your team made it, you'd be up from 9 o'clock watching quiz ball or
absolutely
university challenge type things. And it's a knockout, FA Cup day, blah, blah, blah. The family came round, my grandparents came up. It was a wonderful day. That appears not to happen anymore. And the last time I can remember anything like that was probably the late 90s. Spurs haven't been there since 1991, and I've fed up with that. I want them there. And what do you do about it? I'm not sure. When teams who have no chance of winning the Premiership or the Championship put out weak teams with a view to protecting themselves from whatever they're protecting themselves from, I am aghast. I think every team should be trying to win the FA Cup. And I admire Chelsea in their heyday tried to win every trophy they were in for. And Manchester City seem to be doing that. And while they have a decided advantage, they're still going for it. They're not making little of it. And the aforementioned Manchester United, of course, withdrew from the FA Cup in the early 2000s to play in some World Club competition, which had TV coverage. I think that's a pity. People have said, give a Champions League place to the FA Cup winner, and that would focus the minds. It could do. But I know the Champions League and others would be reluctant to do that, and they think it may be the reward should be for league performance. I can see both sides of that.
Yeah.
What I would really like sometimes is the players, the teams, and the managers to respect the fans and say, we want to win this. You were talking last week or the week before about Spurs being beautifully financially managed. You don't run around the pitch with that. You don't remember that. You remember the FA Cup wins, the League Cup wins, the League Championships, the European trophies, things like that, So I want us back there, yeah. And I want to win the FA Cup. And if Spurs make it this year, I'll be there, believe you me.
Yeah. It was just something that came to mind. The FA Cup used to be the highlight of one of my years. It used to clash with the Northwest 200 motorbike race around the 14th, 18th of May, whatever date it was. And it was a big decision for me, which day I go and see, But anyway, it was just one food for thought. We talked last week about football shirts. Before we come to the note of concern, we talked about football shirts and the cost of them. I have a graphic that I'll put up now, and I don't know if that surprises you or not. I didn't make this up. That's a source online. Spurs is the most expensive adult home shirt at £85. Wolverhampton Wanderers are the cheapest at £58. Now, Chelsea are 1 pence behind you, but they have ramped theirs up by 13.3% this year. Everton, biggest price increase by 15%, and it's 75%. And Wolves have decreased their price by £2, which is encouraging. And I looked up, I didn't know who owned Wolves. I'm not going to pronounce his name. It's two Chinese guys. They own some big business, but it's encouraging to see that they're not just in it to make money and dropping the price of shirts in Wolverhampton, But once again, Spurs, the most expensive shirt in the business, which leads me on to note of concern. If you don't mind, I'll introduce you to it, Colin, and let you go. Last week, guys, I in our friendship, I would be the one that would be most reactive to things and probably go off very early and react quickly. You sent me a text last week saying, and I'll not put up the actual one, but it was something similar to this: levy out, and you just put the words below it. It's time. Before you go on to that, I always hear chat about levy, but I never hear anything about, is that Enic or
Enic, or however it's pronounced, ENIC, some investment company.
Lewis, is it?
Well, it was. I think it's his family or his daughter now. I need to be very careful of.
Anyway, tell me why it's time. What's going on? It's Spurs that triggered this.
I'm reluctant. First of all, to say that the philosophy of Separated by Water is that we're not table thumpers. We don't want everyone sacked. Nobody's rubbish. We try to be reasonable about this and thoughtful, and sometimes provide questions rather than answers. I can only give my own opinion based on being a fan for many, many years and watching what's happened. Tim, who was on a couple of weeks ago, was right in saying that, it's important to be financially well managed and all of that. I accept that. But frankly, I think that is the minimum requirement. These are brand leaders, world names, have gone on about how the Premiership was sold throughout the world. So that's the least we can expect. We're pumping millions into them. So for me, that's like saying, a postman should, be able to recognize the number of the house that he's to post letters to. It's just so obvious. It's obvious. For me, I look at it and say, well, this shows your medals. So, shows your medals. One League Cup, as I call it, in all of that time, 2008, an extra time winner, OG, I think, although Woodgate claimed it. And that's all. And anyone who thinks that's good enough, I will still support them. I'll be there on Sunday. I'll be there, and I will for the rest of my life. But I feel that we are not getting value from this company, that maybe they've been there too long, that maybe their objectives do not meet with those of the thousands of hundreds of thousands, millions of Tottenham fans who want to see us win something. And we're laughing stock. Every year I get plagued with people go, oh, guess what? I've done a bet, Tottenham not to win anything. Ha, 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 ha. Or the Spurs trophy room, or, since Spurs last won a trophy, men have landed on the moon or something, and everyone's done this and that and the other damn thing. And it's all, very funny and very intelligent, but it's very, very wearing. And I think that you can get into a mindset whereby players will join Tottenham and think, we're not going to win anything. We'll make the right noises. But once something goes wrong, once there's a setback, they go, here we'll go again. And we can nearly snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, I'm not saying we'll win everything. Of course we won't. But be genuinely competitive. Genuinely. What goes wrong with Tottenham? They couldn't follow. One of the best teams in the history of the world could not follow up their 1961 league championship. That's how far back I'm going. And Bill Nicholson was super and had a lot going for him there. Had some very good teams right through into the early mid-70s. We couldn't follow up on what Keith Birkinshaw had done. His remark was, there used to be a football team over there. When Irving Scholar and Alexi were involved, they saw the business potential, but didn't seem to want to link that to victories as well. Now, that team, the 80s Tottenham team, was unfortunate to be lined up against a very, very powerful 80s Liverpool team. But so what? We had a couple of FA Cups and a UEFA. In recent years, there's just nothing to talk about. We've probably gone for possibly the longest period of time without a trophy in Tottenham's history. So, yeah, I think it is time.
Is it poor management, or is it the ownership? Is the ownership not picking the right managers? Is he not spending the right money on players, or not selecting the right players?
I think that's part of it. I'm not saying Enoch are probably very good at what they do, clearly. The financial model we've already been told is good. Postecoglou, Conte, Nuno, Poch, Mourinho are all top quality managers. So what's wrong? I think what's wrong is a wee bit in between the two of them. And that is where our expectations lie. And that is what, are we really ready to push the boat out? In other words, rather than buy, Spurs sold Bale for 100 million, I think, sold Kane for about 100 million. So they know what it takes to get a player of that level of quality. And it's not 250 million players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not 340 million players. We've got to push the boat. We've got to make that statement of intent. And once you do that, you change the perception of the team. The way City have changed the perception of them. They're now a winning team, whereas before, not that long ago, they weren't. We need to change that perception that we're a winning team and we mean business. And we were in to win it. Now, can Postecoglou do that for us? I think Post is already slipping into the Tottenham dilemma of, softening the blow for us all, getting the excuses ready in a way. And I'm very nervous about that. I want him to face them down. And what's the solution? Sadly, I think the only solution for a team of Tottenham status is that owners come in who really want to see them win. Now, that should have been Louis, should have been them, Tottenham fans through and through. Surely to God with all that money. And you can only eat 3 meals a day. They would have wanted to do more, but I don't think they have. With respect to everyone concerned, I am genuinely disappointed for myself and on behalf of many Tottenham fans I know. We just have not gone far enough.
Yeah.
That's all I can really say. Enoch out, yes. Enoch out, yes.
On the joke thing, like every year comes, about the trophy room being empty and stuff like that there. And I do. And there's many a time I've been ready to send it to you and went, no, I can't because it's cruel. And it is.
But you usually change your mind when you do then.
I play, meet up with quite a guys every Thursday night, and there's one guy, he's an Arsenal supporter, and he always says to me, Spurs, they never won anything, really. They haven't won anything, And I went away and I thought, I didn't really pay that much heed over the years. Suppose we were too much reveling in our own success to be looking at what Spurs were doing. Yeah, it is. It must be very, very frustrating. But then again, you are still being there and up and about. I would take Crystal Palace's place now, Colin.
Yeah, don't get me
Secure their
wrong.
place in the Premiership for 10 years and staying in that area at the moment. But it wouldn't be good enough long term. I want to progress.
Those are the key words, Paul, and what it is about expectations, as I say.
Yeah.
Expectations are what keeps fans of Wrexham, fans of Lincoln City at Lincoln City, fans of Northampton, fans of Preston, whomever it might be. We have expectations, and if the team meets those, or we can see they're doing their best, we can live with that. I follow an Irish League team who, until recently were not successful, but we could see that they were trying. So what I'm trying to say is Spurs are that big. They are that big. And why? I'm not sure. Because they were, it used to be they were the first team to do the double in the 20th century, first team to win a European trophy, first team to win 2 separate European trophies, blah, blah, blah. And now they're not. And that has been. And the danger is, it won't happen to Spurs, but the danger is teams have slipped into oblivion and have reset their expectations and won't come back. And that's a problem.
I'm not sure you fall into that bracket as yet.
No.
But, I think these are there to stay. But the problem there is, Colin, is how long has there been a levy out contingent demanding from the go?
But it has never been. It has never really become the last that nasty. The last time was in Nuno's last game at the new stadium versus Man United, where they were beaten 3-0 for the second time. They were beaten 3-0 by Chelsea before that, and he was sacked the following day, and the crowd was ready to eat the place. And that's what might need to happen. But possibly in the background, they're looking for buyers, because that must be the only sense of achievement for them, which is turning 1 billion into 2 billion. It's not winning the league or the FA Cup, clearly,
Yeah.
So that might be what they dance down the high road with the check, and we hopefully get back to winning things.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, that is
that off your chest.
Well, yeah, I'll probably get punched in the face on Sunday in the coaching horses, but we'll see what happens.
Just on that, will you remember to do a video diary for us, leaving the house,
I will do.
right through your day, send it through to me, and we'll put it up on the podcast next week.
My alarm will go off at 2:45 in the morning. I have to be make the 80-mile journey to Belfast City Airport by 5 o'clock, fly out at 7, matches at 2 p.m, and then back the next day about midday. So We'll see how that goes.
Predictions for the game?
I can't.
You have to. Come on, you have to give it.
What I've said is that it's already a big match for both teams. Spurs could be 4 points from 12. That's Arsenal could be 7 points from 12, and if City and Liverpool win the fourth, as they probably will, they could already be 5 points behind. There's a lot right. A draw is no good to anyone, really. So there's a lot riding on. I don't like to predict because I'm superstitious. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So I genuinely about that. We really have to turn up. We really have to turn up. That's all I'll say.
They're a massive team. We said we'd try and aim for 35 minutes. We're 33. Okay. I'm going to do my prediction for the weekend. Yeah. And that sort of sums me up. And I can hear the laughter already. But I've done this. And if anybody wants a bit of fun, CS lineup builder, it's very good. You can put your own teams in, recognize all the players. That's the team that I would pick for Saturday. Sales and goals, Moreno, Murillo, Milinkovic, and Bolly. A back row. That is a solid back row. I reckon, Forrest, I'm going to make a prediction. You laugh at me. Everybody will have a poke at me a Thursday night or Saturday. Forrest are going to get a draw on Saturday.
I hope you're right.
If we don't, we're going to get spanked. Absolutely spanked. But I feel momentum's with us. We can hopefully get a draw. I just hope so. We've got new players coming in. James Ward-Prowse, I can't wait to see how he turns up. I'm told that our set piece problems are over if he appears, if he takes over the set pieces. So that was my prediction for the weekend. I can hear the laughter already, actually, but we'll wait and see. Liverpool, I think, are quietly going about it underneath the radar, and they're going to do a massive job. So the last thing I want to do, and then I'll hand over to you to say your farewells. The three teams, Colin, do you know who they are?
I had Brighton, the Seagulls.
Yep.
Crystal Palace, the Eagles.
Yep.
And the third one I am struggling with because
Newcastle, the Magpies.
The Magpies, yeah. I keep forgetting about Newcastle. They were Park as well. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
See,
forget
I
about them.
I wouldn't have got Crystal Palace. I wouldn't have known that them as the Eagles.
Well,
but I suppose you're a London a team.
Yeah,
You'll
Crystal
know
Palace many moons ago when they played in a maroon and light blue strip were actually known as the Glaziers. But following the Malcolm Allison, I think it was, era, which led into Venables, they became the Eagles and changed their colours and became very more glam. That's my take on it. Okay.
mate.
On any other business from you?
No, I just want to tell City future coming up now. We're aiming. We just dropped. No, we're back. But we have Chelsea. I believe you have a Chelsea supporter lined up to come on and talk with us. I have a Man United supporter lined up. A Villa fan, hopefully. So we're going to mix it. It's not all about Forest and Spurs. We're going to mix it up. And please keep the comments coming in. And I really enjoyed that call. So I'll hand over you to say your farewells. And we'll see you next week, guys.
I hope to have enjoyed it, but we'll know next week. Okay, that wraps it up. We've covered quite a lot today. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to Paul. And we'll hopefully see you all next week. And both of us will be smiling. Thanks very much.
See you guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe. Stay safe.